Have you ever heard the story of the shoe so hideous it became a global fashion phenomenon? This isn't just about footwear, folks. This is about three marketing masterminds, near bankruptcy, and the power of believing in your own brand, even if the rest of the world is laughing. Let's dive into the wild ride of Crocs. It all started back in 2002 at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. Amidst the sweat, cheap cologne, and the faint aroma of fiberglass, there was a booth showcases something truly unique: Crocs. These bulbous, foam-like clogs came in colors that would make a highlighter blush. The founders, Scott Siemens, Lyndon Hanson, and George Bodecker, weren't your typical fashion icons. They were outdoorsy dudes who stumbled upon this weird shoe design. But here's the kicker. Those Crocs weren't even their original idea. They bought a pre-existing mold from a Canadian company. Desperation? Maybe. Genius? Only time would tell. The first few years were a roller coaster, and not the fun kind. The "if you build it, they will come" philosophy didn't quite hold true for amphibious footwear. Sales were sluggish, and the future looked uncertain. At the boat show, Crocs were the punchline, not the prize catch. But then, a stroke of brilliance, or possibly desperation, hit the founders. Stop focusing solely on yachting types and target anyone with tired, aching feet. Chefs, nurses, gardeners. Suddenly, comfort became the selling point, and Crocs found their footing. Sales skyrocketed. 2006 was their breakout year, a meteoric rise fueled by practicality and perhaps a smidge of ironic hipster love. But you know what they say about climbing too high too fast? Lawsuits, overstocking issues, and the 2008 financial crisis left Crocs floundering, their stocks plummeting. It seemed like this quirky shoe might just become a footnote in fashion history. But then things got truly chaotic. The internet caught fire with the "I hate Crocs" movement. Legions of haters unleashed a torrent of insults. They looked like chewed up bubble gum, the official shoe of giving up on style. My feet are screaming just looking at them. People were passionately arguing about Crocs on message boards, at dinner parties. It was the footwear version of the pineapple on pizza debate. Yet, amidst the vitriol, a defiant group emerged: the Crocs loyalists. They wore their marshmallow-like shoes with pride, a mix of genuine comfort lovers and those who found perverse joy in being fashion outlaws. Crocs went from embarrassing to ironic to a full-on cultural phenomenon. And oh boy, let's not forget about the escalated debacle of 2006. Crocs got in a heap of trouble when kids' little toes started getting caught in escalators while wearing the shoes. Ouch. Suddenly, Crocs weren't just a fashion disaster, they were potentially hazardous. The lawsuits piled up, forcing Crocs to defend their safety record, in addition to their already dubious reputation. The haters were back, and the future of the company hung in the balance. But instead of shying away from the controversy, Crocs did the unthinkable. They leaned in hard. You call them ugly, we call them iconic. They began partnering with high fashion brands like Balenciaga, turning the Crocs silhouette into a platform stiletto for runway models, or adorning them with outrageous spikes and chains. Reaction videos to these collabs were internet gold, full of shocked gasps and bewildered laughter. The hype machine was cranked to 11. It was a marketing miracle or utter madness. Probably both. Things only got weirder from there. Crocs teamed up with everyone. Balenciaga, sure, but also Kiss, the rock band, Peeps, the Marshmallow Candy, even Hidden Valley Ranch. Limited edition Crocs became status symbols of the absurd. Picture a runway model, stoic and statuesque, teetering on Croc platform heels, or a streetwear enthusiast, proudly rocking fried chicken-scented clogs. Was it performance art? A social experiment? No one was quite sure, but everyone was talking. And just when you thought things couldn't get stranger, there's gibbets. Think of them as the Croc equivalent of bedazzling, but with tiny plastic charms instead of rhinestones. Suddenly, Everyone was rocking a personalized monstrosity on their feet. Pizza slices, cartoon characters, inspirational slogans. It was a celebration of individuality, tackiness, and the fact that Crocs had stopped caring what anyone thought. But from a business perspective, it was brilliant. Gibbets became a massive revenue stream, encouraging repeat customers and endless customization options. Apparently, there's a little bit of rebellious child in all of us, and those goofy charms tapped right into our desire for self-expression, humor, and some claim even anxiety taming fidgeting. So, what's the takeaway from this wild ride? First, sometimes success comes from the most unexpected places. A questionable Canadian clog mold became a billion-dollar brand. Second, don't underestimate the power of controversy. Being universally loved is boring. Being passionately debated sparks far more interest. But the biggest lesson Crocs taught us is this: it's okay to be weird. Own your quirks, embrace the criticism, and sometimes all it takes to change the world is a pair of extremely comfortable, extremely ridiculous shoes. And that brings us to the million-dollar question. Where do you stand on the great Crocs divide? Are you team comfort, proudly rocking your colourful clogs no matter the occasion? Or does the mere sight of them make you want to burn your eyes out with bleach? Maybe you're somewhere in the middle, secretly admiring their marketing chutzpah while still maintaining a safe distance from actually wearing them. Regardless of your personal stance, you've got to admit the Crocs story is a wild one. It's a tale of underdogs, unexpected success, and the power of leaning into your own weirdness. In a world where everyone's trying to fit in, Crocs dared to stand out, and stand out they did, like a sore thumb or toe, as the case may be. So next time you see someone rocking a pair of Crocs, whether it's at the grocery store or on a fashion runway, take a moment to appreciate the sheer audacity of it all. Love 'em or hate 'em, you've got to respect the hustle. And who knows, maybe one day when your feet are aching after a long day, you might just find yourself slipping on a pair of those comfy, cushiony clogs. Don't worry, we won't tell anyone. In the meantime, let's keep the conversation going. Share your wildest Croc stories, your most passionate rants, or your secret admiration for their marketing genius. And if you're feeling extra bold, snap a pic of your own Crocs or Croc-inspired fashion choices and post it in the comments. Who knows, you might just start the next big trend. So, what do you think, folks? Is the Crocs phenomenon a testament to the power of comfort, a masterclass in marketing, or a sign of the apocalypse? Sound off below, and let's keep this wild ride going. The moral of the story is, embrace your quirks, own your weirdness, and don't be afraid to stand out from the crowd. Whether it's in your fashion choices or your approach to life, sometimes the key to success is being unapologetically yourself, even if the rest of the world thinks you're a little bit crazy